Drummond in Victoria. And I had one of my stories there, and I went to a woman in a shop, and I was talking to her about this particular poem that I had, and she said to me, "Oh, this is good, but you don't have a story about Ned, do you?" I said, "A story about Ned? Surely you've got hundreds of books about Ned. It's a Ned shop." And she said, "Well, actually, I don't know. I haven't had a good story about Ned for a while, and I really wasn't too keen on this." But I said, "Look, you know, being a good writer, I probably need to do a bit of research." And she said, "Oh, God, no, don't do that. I don't want it to be true." So I came out of the shop and thought, she doesn't want it to be true. So here we go. Out of that conversation came this inspiration. Fair Dinkum Ned. A long time ago, there was a bloke called Ned who wore a tin can right over his head. He roamed the bush around Greta West. The bank blokes called him a fair dinkum pest. 'Cause he robbed and blind every chance he got. With his loyal gang, he nicked the lot. Cash and gold and coins, of course, all stuffed in the saddle of his trusty horse. But being a bushranger wasn't all fun. The tin can got hot if he stayed in the sun. Ned would steam up like a sauna inside, cracked eggs on his head, quite easily fry. Then there were times that were too bad to bear, when bees would get stuck in his bushy old hair. They'd fly in his mouth and right up his nose, buzzing his ears, till he curled up his toes. And that tin can suit weighed at least a ton. It froze in winter so Ned couldn't run, and if he decided to ride home instead, his horse would moan, "He's as heavy as lead." If out of his saddle Ned tumbled and fell right on his head, he would start to yell. His horse would take fright and gallop away, and there he'd be stuck for the rest of the day. But Dan and Steve, his brothers in crime, would always help out in the nick of time. They'd pick up his ends as quick as a wink, and were too polite to complain of the stink. The smell was bad. There was surely no doubt. This was a problem worse than a drought. But Ned in a bath was a major ordeal, 'cause he couldn't get in with a suit of steel. He tried it once and turned into rust, stuck in the bath while Dan and Steve fussed. So they opened a can with a narrow spout and poured in oil to help him slide out. Now, oily Ned was too slippery to catch. The local troopers had met their match. He would lead them through the bush and scrub, leaving greasy marks on every shrub. When they tried to trap him in their snare, Ned slid off his horse, boots in the air. He hit the ground with a deafening splat and squashed 3 troopers completely flat. Now, Ned made a racket when he came to stay. Everyone heard him a mile away, and if by chance your hearing was poor, you smelt him the minute he walked in the door. Of course, you might think that things were bad, but the locals loved this country lad. They'd help him hide out away from the law, even rubbed his feet when they were sore, 'cause walking was hard in his metal sweat box. He couldn't bend over to change his socks, so his toes were stuck in gigantic holes, and both of his boots had flapping soles. Ned knew this nonsense just had to stop. How could a bushranger be such a flop? Then one day, whilst looking for one of his whips, he found an old pair of giant tin snips. Now Dan and Steve had the means to open him up like a can of sardines. They split Ned's suit from his head to toes, but didn't get time to block up their noses. They both passed out with a mighty thud. Steve fell back into a puddle of mud. A cloud of stink filled up the sky with bees and fleas, and a dead blowfly. Ned's mum arrived to fix up the smell. She dumped Ned's helmet in the local well, then fired a shotgun with all its power to make a portable tin can shower. She tied up his undies with horsehair rope, then lathered him up with lavender soap. She picked off the nits, earwigs and bugs, found a thick stick to prise off the slugs. Using a spoon, she scooped wax from his ears, cut all his toenails with rusty sheep shears. Then under the shower, she rinsed him off. Ned screwed up his nose. He smelled like a toff. With spit and polish, the suit looked brand new, so they stuck up the split with emu glue. Now if the stink was too bad to bear, the suit came apart. Ned's wash and wear. He's still too heavy and gets hot in the sun, and on freezing days it's still hard to run. But if you see him now, think of the danger, because our Ned's a fair dinkum bushranger. And now all through the bush everyone said, "Stone the flaming crows! Is that our Ned?"